So I guess we can start. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And here we are. We're ready to start. My name is Daria, and I'm moderator of our today's event. And today we're here to talk about AI in testing. This is part two of our event. So first part was conducted on the previous week. So for those who missed it, you can watch the recording. And here we are to conduct our second part and what we're going to talk about today. So we have two speakers today. Nataliya Bogushevskaya will tell us about and actually show us about how to use ChatGPT in automation testing, and Oksana Kasianenko will show us and tell us how to use Copilot. Before we go into our speakers, uh, just a kind reminder for everyone. During our speech, feel free to put your questions in the chat. If you, for some reason, won't be able to put your comments or questions in the chat on YouTube, you can do this on the community page. I will share the link in the chat, so please feel free to ask your questions. After two speakers will finish their speeches, we will have Q&A session where we are gonna answer all of your questions. So, and I guess we are ready to start with our presenters. And now I'd like to pass my word to Nataliya, and she will
Yep,
show us.
thank you so much. Hi,
Yeah.
colleagues. And today, let's start with using ChatGPT for automation. Basically, ChatGPT can help in many areas and for any level of automation. Let's start. We are just beginners, and we are basically just manual, even QA, who would like to enrich knowledge in, for example, API testing. As an example, we will use existing Swagger project. It's an internet open resource, so you can refer to it. It's a Swagger collection where we have list of API endpoints and rule how to use them. And let's assume I don't know anything about Postman and I would like to create a collection in Postman and run it. And to start from, I would like to add a new pad into the to the store. So probably I need to use somehow this example, but to change it to my own pad. And I can use ChatGPT for that. I can ask, for example, please prepare a JSON to test adding a new record into the collection. And as this site is pretty known for a long time, it's in the history of ChatGPT, we can just put the name. Let's see, is it possible? Yeah, I see that names are added. So it's named a dog. It has even some URLs, some tags, and status. Let's try to run. So I'm copying the code. I'm entering this code into Postman. So I didn't fill anything, and let's try. Is it trying? Yep. Seems that everything is okay. I have proper response. Seems that my item was added. And if I need to create different statuses, I can ask, please provide a couple of records with different statuses of a pet. Yep, it's trying. So I have different records, cats, dogs, and well, that's all. But I can ask, give me 4, give me 3, give me 10 of records. It will be added. What to do if I can't share the link to Swagger because it's my project Swagger or I don't have it? Probably I can provide a JSON model and ask, please give me the answer, give me JSON or XML according to this model, and that will help. Moreover, I can ask, please add a test uh, for Postman to check if I have Max. Max was added, and hope so. Yep, I have a script. Maybe you don't know, maybe you're an expert in G script, but Postman allows you to create some kind of a check, and now we can apply this test, small test. Code was fully provided by the ChatGPT. It checks that our status response is 200, that name is equal to our marks, and what's wrong? Maybe it's not working. Well, seems yes, absolutely, it's not working. As you see, we have failed result because marks was not found. But at least one case was done, and one test must pass. This one. Oh, we have one check only. We can say we can ask, please separate into different cases so we can check separately the status response and the equality. But in this case, even in this case, I can say that that's better than just going through the information and checking, is it marks, is it marks, is it marks, or using even Max is here. No, it's named Max, but it's kill him. It's a different one. So we can use for that. If I'm not just manual QA, if I need more deeper level automation, is it possible somehow to use ChatGPT? Yeah. For example, typical task for UI automation is getting a correct locator for element, UI element. And for that, again, we can use ChatGPT. For example, let's assume I'm using Wikipedia as a single information. So I have some kind of a main page, some elements are in here, and definitely there are a lot of elements like button links, more links, small links, etc., etc. Is it possible to prepare locators using ChatGPT? Let us try. So I will ask, please use page and provide locators for UI elements. That's just partial primary point. Let's check if it's working or no. Well, yes, something is provided. So it's based on ID, that is good. It's based on ID, well, seems to be good. Definitely we should check if it's working or no, but we can use it. My ChatGPT is already a little bit smart, but in some cases you have to push them. And for example, you need to explicitly say that I need to refer only to locators that are using ID or contains, and don't use any text notation, because it might be that I'm using these locators with application with further localization, and if it's called login in English, it will not be login in Chinese. It will be another label. So in this case, we were lucky. Our ChatGPT works good today, but in a better approach is to provide additional information, and additional information will be first, how am I going to use it? You can say that it will be for automation testing. You can say that please act as QA, automation QA in Java. So provide more context. Why do I need those locators? You can say that, for example, I need to use um, only contains only IDs, don't use any text, and explain why. And it might change the output. What to do if application is not yet in free access? So it's some kind of an internal tool yet, internal application yet. You can't refer to the application, or it was launched after 2021 and ChatGPT doesn't know anything about it. Well, we can capture the snapshot of a of HTML code. So we have limitation. It's not possible sometimes to put the whole page. So we need to remove some heavy parts with logos, icons, etc., etc. Probably, as we're using free ChatGPT, it's a good idea to remove any sensitive information and use some kind of obfuscated HTML page. But after that, again, I can ask ChatGPT to use particular um, approaches, particular parts of locators, and provide some information in it. Please, for this part only. Thinking. It's always thinking when I need it. Yeah. So it's analyze the code and understand that I have create account in here, and well, it's right. It's right, and the last one with this one, well, seems even to be good. And the same for login. So we can use it. And we can change the approach of how we are going to work with these locators, how we're going to use it. Moreover, if we're using OpenAI version, then we can, for example, let's do this part. We are taking this part and using OpenAI. That's the same ChatGPT, but it's a ChatGPT inside the Postman collection. So I'm copying the same prompt. I can now change the temperature. So the more temperature is, the more the more strange, but maybe very clever answer will be added. If I don't want ChatGPT to provide too many imagination answers, I can set temperature 0.1. So, and maximum amount of tokens I'm interested in. Chatting, yeah, just one. No, well, we have some kind of different different locators. We haven't specified which exactly we are interested in. That's why only some of them were used. We can, in the same way, provide the name of locators we are interested in, element we are interested in, and get it from that part. And if we are, for example, using OpenAI port, the AP call for ChatGPT, we can even introduce it inside our framework. So small code that will get the HTML page, probably do obfuscating, probably split a huge HTML page into a single one and provide all the locators that are present on the table. So it can be done. Okay, locators are doable. What can we do more? Can we get a page object from the link? Let's try. So now I will ask ChatGPT to provide me page object. I have to specify the language because in some cases, if you don't specify the language and ask just create page object, ChatGPT can say that I'm just an artificial intelligence. I cannot create page object. I can just give a couple of suggestions how to do that. But when you're specifying a language you're interested in, the code is produced. Okay, chicken. Well, yep, some case, some part is done. So we have WebDriver element, we have do to well, probably two elements, to search input and to search button, and we have some kind of a page object. If you do know what you're going to do with your page object, which elements you are interested in, which already designed annotations you have, you can provide more context and get more detailed and more correct page object. So you will not waste time on providing the simple structure after analyzing HTML code. We can even ask um, uh, ChatGPT to write some kind of a code. For example, I would like to have a small piece of code to check language setting. But you have to be very, very wise because sometimes ChatGPT is not working. For example, last time I was trying to do that, it was looking for combo box to change uh, the element. It might happen. So in this case, it's better to provide HTML page instead of referring so that it will understand that, oh, yeah, in here it understands that it's a link. But last time I was trying to do nearly the same task. It was pretty sure that it's a drop down menu with set of languages. And now, for example, it's just we haven't specified which language to change. So it's trying to change to French and hope that everything is okay. But we can, well, we can check more test points with some words that are that must be on the page according to a appropriate checked and defined language. So as you see, it's also possible. And if your page object is just if your HTML page is newly created, it's a very good approach because many steps are done by ChatGPT, not by you. Okay, that's for UI testing. And what about API testing? Is it possible something more than just using Postman collection? Let us try. Let's assume that I need to perform auto test, automation test in API for the same Swagger collection, for the same pet shop, this one. No, yep, this one, pet shop information, and I would like to have some at least skeleton for a test. Okay, I will ask ChatGPT to act as automation QA. Again, I'm specifying the language, and I provide information about how to name the methods and use method, what will be the initial part, what I'm interested in. Let's assume I need to use rest assured. What is the API endpoint and parameters? Sometimes it's even better to provide example of the response so that the um, mapping model for the correct response will be added by ChatGPT. Okay, let's analyze. It's trying, it's creating, and yep. Now structure is not here. I'm so upset. We can ask to provide more information to get more information. Basically, just yesterday, it was providing better answers. Let me share you. Yesterday answer? No. Yeah, so in here class was also added and getter setters for that was provided. If you need it, again, we can ask chat. Let's simply try to regenerate response. Maybe next time it will be more attentive to details. No. Lazy simple. At least he's trying to do something to get information about ID, name, status. As we see, it's doable. It might be not from the very first response because for some simple task, the first response is more stable and most correct. But in some cases, you need to provide more and more details. But it's doable. Okay, can I also create a unit test? Sorry, a test for that. Yes, sure. I will ask to create a parameterized test with using Java Unit 5 that will analyze the status. And I'm interested in Assert.js approach to verify that each record in a line contains the given status. Okay, okay. It's trying, it's creating. Well, I don't personally like for. You can, well, and honestly, this code is not very good, I would say, this one. So it's, and where's my assertions? Just not empty. Equal to start. Well, okay, it might be, but well, at least it codes that tested parameterized annotation is added and something is added. So, as you see, the more difficult task will be provided to ChatGPT, the more time you can spend on providing additional context, additional ideas to get proper answer. Definitely, if we are using ChatGPT 4, it's ChatGPT 3.5 at the moment for me, the answers are better. Their code is more stable and more convenient. But is it possible somehow to use ChatGPT for generational code, but after that apply something that depends to your test framework structure, something that will take into account code convention, approach, and all the rest? And the answers on it will be provided by Oksana. So I'm passing my word to Oksana.
Thank you, Natalia, a lot. 1 minute. Hi, everybody. My name is Oksana Kasianenko, as Daria mentioned, and I am a lead test automation engineer. And today I would like to share with you my experience how to work with GitHub Copilot during test automation development process. Let's start. The small agenda for today. Firstly, we would speak about what is GitHub Copilot in general. After that, I will say you a few words about the main GitHub Copilot use cases, and I will present, hopefully, the main interesting part of today's presentation. It's live demo. After this live demo, I will create and we will discuss some GitHub Copilot limitation. And in the end, of course, we will make some conclusions regarding GitHub Copilot. Okay, let's start. Don't waste our time. What is GitHub Copilot? GitHub Copilot it's an artificial intelligence tool which was developed by GitHub and OpenAI, and this tool use machine learning algorithm and generate code suggestion for developers in real time. GitHub Copilot, as any artificial intelligence tool, need to be trained somewhere, and it uses different code base from different public repos like GitHub, for instance, or others one. And I would like to notice that GitHub Copilot is an extension for any idea like JetBrains, I don't know, Visual Studio, etc. And on this slide, you can find the statistic which I got from GitHub official website. And here you can see that the main aim of GitHub Copilot tool is to increase the development productivity. And as you can observe, developer can increase up to 25% of their productivity. In my opinion, it's a really very impressive result. On the next slide, you can find another statistic which I got from this official GitHub website. And here I would like to emphasize that 96% of developers which used to work with GitHub Copilot, they not pointed out that Copilot is very useful when you try to do some routine task, development routine task, some repetitive task, etc. On the other picture, you can find the result of the experiment, which was made by GitHub. There were two team, two team of developers, and the task for this both team was the same: to create web server using JavaScript language, and the first team used Copilot. The second worked without Copilot, and as a result, the completion of task was twice less when team used Copilot tool. To be honest, even in this task, you may notice that Copilot increased developer productivity till even on 50%. And let's move to the next topic. It's the main use case for our GitHub Copilot. I would like to emphasize only on three of them. There are others, but these are the main ones. The first one, if it's of course development. Copilot is very useful when you try to create some utility classes, when you try to make some calculation, do some repetitive task like test case creation, etc. It's very easy to use Copilot during refactoring process. And the last but not least, Copilot is very useful during documentation process. For instance, time to time, I'm a bit lazy person and I can forget about some comments, especially for utility classes. And Copilot is very useful there in this case and can help me. And I like this Copilot feature that Copilot will suggest your code with your language convention rules. If it's, for instance, Java language, Python, etc., doesn't matter. Copilot will understand your language and will try to apply these rules for code suggestion. Okay, and I would like to start my main part of the presentation. It's live demo. I would like to start with the first point. How can we use GitHub Copilot? How can we install it? As I told you previously, it's a plugin, it's an extension, and firstly, you need to add this and install this plugin. This process will take maybe 1 minute. As you see, I've already added this plugin, and during the installation process, you need to have the credential from GitHub account. That's why it's a precondition for installation process to have a GitHub account. If you install everything correctly, you will find the GitHub Copilot icon in the bottom page of your IDEA, where you can disable Copilot or log out from GitHub, up to you and up to your need. And now let's start and to work with this GitHub Copilot. And the first use case, oh, sorry. Firstly, I need to point it how can you communicate with GitHub Copilot. There are two main ways. The first one, you write some code, developers write some code, and GitHub Copilot try to analyze the context and create the suggestions for you. And the other way is to create, to write the comment, and Copilot will try to give the suggestion. Let's try. these two ways. The first one, let's imagine that I would like to add new dependency to my already created project. Okay, add a JUnit dependency. And when you write the command, please press the enter key and wait only 1 second, as you see, and Copilot give me the suggestion. If I would like to accept it, um, I will push tab button, and that's all. Another way to work with GitHub Copilot is to start add dependency, and Copilot will generate all code by instead of you. As you see on this stage, unfortunately, Copilot can help us to work only with some not complex tasks. For instance, I can write the comment that Copilot, please create me test automation framework from the scratch, or Copilot, please create me some, I don't know, logical module, core module in my test automation framework. Unfortunately, there is no such opportunity. That's why you are in charge of building test automation framework, and Copilot is only the second pilot, and it can only assist you during your development process. That's all. Let's see another use case. As you see, Copilot want to suggest me more and more different dependency. Let's imagine that I need to add some plugin. I am working with testing process, and it would be great to add a Surefire plugin to my POM, and I will ask add Surefire plugin. Yes, let's see. 1 sec, and everything is ready. As you see, Copilot did all stuff instead of me, and I can only delete my comment, and all code is created. Let's move to another use case. Let's imagine that there is a task to create new functionality. I already prepared the structure, as you saw, since unfortunately Copilot can do it instead of me. Let's create a new test, web UI test, and I've already created web elements, as you see, since unfortunately Copilot can scan some website, and I will try to create new code in step. Or you see, I even didn't write anything, and Copilot suggests me some piece of code. I accept it. Let's add another block of code, and Copilot give me more suggestions and more tip. I accept this one, and it would be good to click on menu. Yes, on menu button and verify this menu. Not click on menu. Lots of code are proposed by Copilot. Okay, let's start to write at least something. Avoid verify. You see, Copilot tries to analyze what I am reading and try to suggest me at least something. Okay, and the last one, verify if menu, let it be public, void verify menu is displayed. Okay, as you see, 1 minute and lots of code are written. Let's see another use case. As you see, I forgot to add log message, which are very necessary when we are trying to write some test automation framework. How can we use Copilot here? Firstly, Copilot doesn't understand what I want from him. Okay, let's learn him. Log info. I only started to write this log info and Copilot give me the suggestion. Open main page. I like its suggestion. And now sometimes Copilot can even quickly help me. Or in this case, you see, I only press the enter button and Copilot understands it. Before I wanted to add this log message and now he suggests me the right log message. Here I need to give him a prompt. Okay, my main step class is already written as you see. Let's format it and let's create the first test case. Everything is suggested by Copilot, as you see. Not a very good suggestion since after open main page, it would be good to verify if logo is displayed and maybe it would be better to even add click on wiki menu and Copilot understands that after clicking, I need to verify something and give me the suggestion. We can run and see if everything works correctly. Let's wait a few seconds. Hope that everything will work correctly. And we will see the browser. Oh, as usual, demo karma. I will not enter. Maybe some express is wrong, to be honest. I'm not sure. I didn't verify it for the our event. Okay, let's go to another use case. Let's imagine that you a, joined a team which worked and which developed test automation framework, and this team I don't know, used some unknown for engineers for a new teammate technology and tool. And I've already created a client, REST API client, which is like a wrapper under REST Assured. Since REST Assured, almost all of us who are working with Java language test automation framework tools knows. And I already created a wrapper to show you how Copilot can analyze the test automation framework and suggest you code based on project convention, based on project rules, project tools, etc. I've already create a client. Let's imagine that new teammate got the task to add one more and test one more functionality. Let it be update, maybe not get. It would be better to update book, yes, and let's now try to update. As you see, I don't use here rest assured. I used my own HTTP request and I use my own HTTP request executor. It's a wrapper under rest assured, and I'm interested if Copilot will understand everything. Okay, Copilot understands that I need to override this new method in my interface. And you can see that Copilot suggests me the whole piece of code. I can accept it or reject. And in this point, I would like to show you the one more window from GitHub Copilot. Let's imagine that I'm not sure if this suggestion is correct, and I would like to understand, is there any other suggestion made by Copilot? In this window, GitHub Copilot, you can find another solution. And if you like some solution more than another, you can accept it. In my cases, to be honest, I like the first one and I can press tab and accept it. Okay, as you see, Copilot not always can generate the perfect code. There is not get ID, there is get ISBN, and Copilot understands that we need, for updating the book, we need to use put method, since firstly I used get, and Copilot understands that we need to add the body to the put HTTP method. Copilot scanned my project and understands that there is a JSON utils. However, he couldn't find any appropriate method and suggests to create one. Let's create to JSON method in JSON utils. Not very good, to be honest. Suggestion. I would like to use object, that it will be or. And let's see. Oh, you see, I even don't start to write any piece of code and Copilot understand everything and give me the result. To be honest, I don't like, and it's not a good practice to throw runtime its exception. It would be better to throw my own file exception. Let's create this class. Sorry. Maybe here is, yes, there is such project. Exception, then it will be exception. Okay, file exception. I make the mistake. Sorry for this. And now everything is okay, except the naming. 1 minute. Exception. If you mentioned, if you remembered, sorry, I mentioned about one more use case. It's Java doc creation. Let's see if I was correct. Let's start to create command, Java doc command. I only start to create and Copilot give me the suggestion and I see that everything is okay and everything is perfect and I can accept it. As you see, only several minutes and lots of code, pieces of code were created. And let's see how to work with another type of utils, especially regex utils. Let's imagine that I need to verify if some string is email. Let's ask our Copilot verify that string, not this, that string is valid email. Yes, I accept this one and I need to wait a bit. As you see, Copilot give me the result in 1 second. I can now delete my comment, and in this way, Copilot understands that it would be bad to add Java doc comment. I accept it, and less than 1 minute, and a lot of lines of code were developed. And to be honest, from live demo, it's all use cases which I would like to share with you. And now I will
want to emphasize that all activities which were done by me during this live demo and all activities with GitHub Copilot, which will you explore during your learning process, you can do only within your personal project and within your personal repo. As I mentioned before, GitHub Copilot is trained on public repo, and there is a probability that you can violate security rules on your project, and that's why Copilot can be used on a real production project only after customer approval. Please be aware of this very much and use Copilot for your own project and for customer only about after customer approvals. Let's move to our presentation and continue and speak about a bit limitation of Copilot. As I showed you previously, GitHub Copilot not always can generate us very relevant, I don't know, accurate, perfect code. Those suggestions are limited in variety since GitHub Copilot is trained on public repo, and unfortunately, you can't use GitHub Copilot for some complex solution like creating some test automation framework from the scratch or creating some library modules, etc. It's only an assistant. And unfortunately, this GitHub Copilot may produce some unsecure solution. Be aware of this and always remember that you need to get customer approvals before using GitHub Copilot on the real project. Don't forget the main limitation of GitHub Copilot that you are the main pilot. You are in charge of everything. You are responsible to accept the code which was suggested by Copilot or to decline it. Don't, don't forget about this. And let's make some conclusions. First of all, Copilot is very useful during development stuff, as you can saw and observe. Um, I um, I do believe that for a test automation process, Copilot can increase productivity till even 20% of our development part of work. And to be honest, I don't want to emphasize um, on other conclusions. On this slide, I would like to share with you with one more experiment, which was made by me. On the 1st of the May, I started the course. It was a learning of new development language, .NET, since C# language, since my primary skills is Java language. And on that moment, on the 1st of May, I created the deadline to get this secondary skill and to learn this totally new language for me. I create and ask to make the assessment for me on the 1st of June. I had only 1 month. I had ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot. ChatGPT I used for getting some theoretical knowledge with lots of examples, and it was very useful for this. And GitHub Copilot helped me to perform all homework. And to be honest, it was maybe a bit easier for me to learn this new language since it in some way very similar to Java language. I understand the main rule how to create the test automation framework. I know the OOP principle or the design or the principle. I don't know all patterns, etc. And I knew how to create the structure of test automation framework, and I need only from Copilot uh, to help me in some specific language, I don't know, stuff. And there were several times that I even read some old blogs, old information about how to use C sharp or some, I don't know, tool of C sharp. And GitHub Copilot, when I started to write some piece of code, GitHub Copilot helped me to use the approach from the latest version of C Sharp or from the latest version, I don't know, from some technology and tool based on C Sharp. And it was a really very great experience. And as a result, I managed to pass the exam. I had an interview. Uh, the interviewer were two test automation leader in .NET, and they gave me a very good mark. And as a result, I nowadays I had the secondary skill, and I can build test automation framework using C Sharp language. That's all about GitHub Copilot. If you have any questions, I don't know, or would like to ask me something, you can write me to my email. Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much, Oksana. Thank you so much, Natalia, for your great demos and presentations on these topics. So, yeah, that's actually it from our speakers, colleagues. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in our chat. For now, I do not see any questions, so let's wait a little bit. And while we are waiting, just a reminder. So this was second part of our event. So you can find and see also the first part of the event, or rewatch this one as well after you get the recording of this presentation. Also, please feel free to leave your feedback about our event so that we can improve it or adjust it somehow. And also, don't forget that you can rate our speakers on the community page and rate our event as well. And great. And we have actually a question. So let me read it. Uh, what legal and compliance says about using ChatGPT and Copilot on real projects that are not in public?
Let me answer this question. So, our legal and compliance, sorry, for now, is saying strong no. It's not secure because it's not yet determined. As you know, in many European countries, it's even forbidden to use AI. But if we're talking about ChatGPT, we have our own internal ChatGPT in IBAM, and this ChatGPT is allows us to use it. Why? Because it has a special layer where all sensitive information is removed, automatically removed, and we are not breaking anything. Also, many clients, many customers also introduce their own internal engines, LLM engines, based on different models, including ChatGPT. So you can train on open source and open questions. And after that, you can use it in real project when your client approves it or you're using internal secure tool. What about Copilot? For now, no. No usage for Copilot that are not in public, that are private, and that are not approved by the client. But again, you have to be able to work with this tool because in the nearest future, it might happen that AI will not replace people, but AI will replace anyone who is not using AI. So you must be aware of it. You must be hands-on with it, and you must know that ChatGPT, OpenAI, it's not and Copilot. We have more than 100 of AI models, different AI models at the moment. So it would be good to understand which models are now popular and used and what they can do. For example, we were not covering AI tools that might be helpful for creation and visualization, and probably for testing some games, because we need to create some kind of a landscape to work on it. So it's very difficult to do that with ChatGPT or with Copilot, but other tools allows us to do it. For example, we can use Vertex AI that belongs to Google. It also has a lot of good ideas and what to use. And if we're talking about language translation, included not native human language, but including, for example, translation from old UTF format to Java code, then in Vertex AI it's not a big deal. It's very easy to perform such a task and get some proper result. And if you have to migrate obsolete old framework that is done on test complete on UTF to a modern language such as Java and .NET, then it might be a good choice for you. Hope I was able to answer the question.
I hope so, because it was really a wide and direct answer. So yeah, thank you so much. Okay, I do not see any other questions. So I guess we're done. Thank you so much once again to our speakers, and thank you all of other colleagues who joined to watch this presentation. I hope that this was really helpful for everyone. So yep, thank you so much, and see you on our next events, my colleagues.